Welcome to the Padre O'Donnell Socialist Republican Forum channel. My name is Tommy McKierney, and I'm going to introduce an old comrade of mine to speak to us through this channel. His name is Barry Murray, county from Manamon. Barry is a Socialist Republican who has dedicated many, many years of his life to the cause of a Socialist Republic on this island. Barry is going to discuss the ideas behind strategizing for a Socialist Republic on this island of Ireland. He has identified problems, namely that Dublin, London, Washington and Brussels have made it practically impossible for genuine Republicans and Socialists to get their message heard against the power of the established media here. So what Barry's going to do, he's going to introduce to us his ideas on how to overcome the opposition as has been created by the capitalist establishment on this island and its mentors in Britain, United States of America, and the European Union. So, Barry, please give us of your opinions and your invaluable actually, insight into this strategically important question. So the floor is yours, Barry. Please go ahead and enlighten us.
Thanks, Tommy, for your introduction. I want to talk about the strategies for building towards a socialist republic. The damage to the Republican struggle for national liberation has been seriously holed below the waterline by the capitulation to British, American, and EU imperialisms, in particular by former Republicans, now known as Sinn Féin. The sort of wink, nod of United Ireland and the tactical distraction of sectarian politics in the north, with the backing of Dublin, London, Washington and Brussels, have made it practically impossible for genuine Republicans and Socialists to be heard. And that's all against the powerful background of media spin, particularly in the established media. And the 32 county Socialist Republic narrative has been buried by the counter-revolutionaries, and an agreed or shared island is the new narrative. Now, that could mean anything. The one thing it almost certainly means is that it'll be an Ireland of the powerful and wealthy, and it'll be more than likely under the Commonwealth, and therefore a capitalist state as well. And 30 years of mediocre progress by us since the ceasefire has demonstrated this. All of our being against, their direction of travel has not resulted in a lot of change for the better for us, or indeed the general population. In fact, the state of housing in the north and the south and the health services alone, and that's only a small part of it, demonstrates that fairly clearly. So the question is, have we failed? No. Do we give up? Certainly not. Can we come up with a strategy? Yeah, of course we can. One of the main reasons why we can come up with ongoing tactics and strategy is because the system that we all live under, namely capitalism and imperialism, will keep providing opportunities. Okay, they have had the upper hand for a long time, but then, so had slavery, so had feudalism, and so had many now historical empires around the world. So we know from history and experience that nothing is impregnable or lasts forever. And at the end of the day, humans, and that's us today, are the dynamic for change. But change, or even revolutions, are driven by human desires. And that is, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? How is it going to make my life easier? And it's not any real sense of altruistic sentiment or glory. That's the area, in fact, where we need to try to figure out our tactics and our strategy. Now, in the process, we do not dilute or defile our socialist republican principles. That's a non-negotiable position. But what we always have is to be tactical. That's the chief thing, is to be tactical. The enemy we have faced for a very long time is very, very, very tactical. So we have to be even more innovative. We cannot hope to make progress by being only more Republican, for example, than those who are now masquerading as Republicans, or to be continually trying to outdo the other genuine Republican groups around us. We need to take a tactical step out of the slipstream of the, shall we call it, holier-than-thou republicanism. That's a race, and it's a race to the bottom. And it's also clouding where we can make progress. And I might add, just as an insert, as another point, that we're never going to make any transformative gains by being involved in bourgeois electoralism alone. Now, I emphasize that alone bit, because there is a part that electoralism can be used for, and I mean used for, but it must come with other work on the ground, and the principal amount of work would be outside the parliaments. But anyway, none of these things, well, certainly, straight electoralism, going into the parliaments and thinking that you'll change things, that has never worked. And even for the few who are or were genuine, it hasn't worked. And it won't work for the sinners either. Certainly not in any radical or revolutionary way, which I don't think they're interested in anyway. Now, we already know that. So, the thing is, what is it that we want to do? Where do we put our strategies in place? And in my view, we have to pause, sort of metaphorically catch our breaths, take a small step backwards and sideways, and I would say preferably to the left, and see our targets more clearly. Then we can strike. But the question always is, what is to be done? But as I said at the outset, people want to know, what's in it for me? Is it an affordable, fit-for-purpose house to live in? A free, fit-for-purpose health service? A free education system? And a properly paid job? And also an end to climate destruction. Because, if we don't deal with the climate issue, the destruction of the climate by capitalism, then there's going to be no planet to live on. So changes in socialist republics will be something to be thought about. I mean, it won't even be an issue at that point. We also need proper rights. And what we're talking about here is the rights of humanity, not the liberal bourgeois human rights we hear talked about all the time. And no doubt there's even more stuff. So the thing is, there's no end of things to be focused on. The trick is, how do we actually do it given our small numbers? Now, there's lots of ideas, and there's lots of ideas would come out of discussion. But the first internal and probably the foundation stone would be an awareness raising policy and education among activists and people who are willing to sort of take on protests and take on work, and to explain why tactically this route of attack, for example, whatever that might be, is necessary. And activists and people's education plan would be a great step in that direction. And from my perspective, it's vital. Activists must always understand why they're heading in a particular direction. Otherwise, the seeds of confusion, dissension, and apathy will creep in. And the other thing is, at this stage, we cannot afford to fear such discussions or guidance or education or new ideas or whatever. And it needs to start now and be guided by our adherence to anti-colonialism, neo-colonialism in the 26th century in particular, and be geared towards national liberation and anti-imperialism for the whole island of Ireland. And that steps forward has to be driven by class struggle, via social justice struggles for the rights of humanity. And really, that's it in a nutshell. And if we don't start to look at a people-based strategy where people's lives and people's living conditions and whatever else is our concern, and that we use that against our enemies, then any other half-baked strategies will end in certain failure. That's all for now. Thanks very much for listening.
That was Barry Murray there giving us his thoughts on strategizing for an Irish Socialist Republic, and very useful, informative, enlightening it was too. So I hope to hear from Barry before too long again, and on many occasions. So friends and comrades, please keep yourself tuned in to the Pat O'Donnell Socialist Republican Forum YouTube channel for more enlightening contributions as we've had from Barry Murray. Thank you.